Hello, my name is Jumbles Gaming, and welcome to the story of Rickard Greymont. A young lad who has gone through quite a lot at the young age of 16. He is a part of the Iron Isles, the Lord of Orkmont. And the previous lords of Orkmont are the Orkwoods, but there was the illegitimate claim, although he will say legitimate claim, to Orkwood. And the reason why he believed such a thing is because his family is a bastard dynasty of the Orkwoods, and so they were banished out due to the concern that this one day happen. And Lord Eddard Stark's family, the Starks of course, housed him. His father, Rickard Stark, is the man he is named after. And Rickard Stark was the man that allowed him to stay. His family was originally allowed to stay by Edwyle Stark, but he was raised under the reign of Rickard Stark. Eventually he got enough money working with the Starks and the North that he was able to come back to Orkmont and take what was quote-unquote his. So who is this young jump lord? His name is Lord Rickard Greymont. The sigil being a red-leafed plant with grey berries, hence the name Greymont, and the mont coming from Orkmont. This was the sign that they believed was time to be ready. Lord Rickard started this house well, it's a complicated story. So they were a cadet. They were bastard branch, but they didn't ever have an official name. No one ever decided to try to claim a name of any sort. They didn't have a sigil. They went by the last name Greymont, but they never had land or a sigil. Rickard saw a greenberry-based plant and assumed that was his sign, and he called it his sigil as he went and took Orkmont. He successfully did so, and he's, as you will see here, a dutiful commander. He's a very good leader of Lightfoot soldiers, which can be very helpful when you're going into the Iron Isles. By the way, green berries, very fitting for a place that's very dreadful. He is a legitimized bastard, fittingly enough from a bastard cadet. No one knows exactly what happened to the rest of the family. They were believed to have been exterminated. But we don't know. All we know is that he was named after the lord that was trying to protect, that was allowing them to stay in their lands. If you can't tell, he has a scar from the fighting with the Orkmonts. Orkwoods, my apology. Orkmont is the land. Thankfully, no one had died in the wars outside of a brother of Rickard's, which his name was we don't like to talk about it. He was named Richard. But alas, the Lord does not want to talk about that, so we don't talk about it. I could lose my head talking about this, but our Lord Rickard is a trained fighter. He is a very lustful man, but also temperate at the same time. He is a very diligent man. Some say that he's diligent purely because of his ambitions, which will be mentioned later. He's a very proud and brave man, very ambitious, as I previously mentioned, which will come in handy because his entire goal in life, very similar to what Daenerys eventually would have, which is this strive and hunger to take what they believe is theirs. Although with all of his flaws, and some would consider strengths, he is a very just man, a very trusting man. He is very harsh to his enemies and very kind to his allies. Although he can be very stubborn and very selfish, believing that he is entitled to everything. Very similar to Daenerys, as I previously mentioned. Although he would like to compare himself more to the young Robb Stark, who he considers a friend, but Robb Stark doesn't exactly know much about him, to be honest. They are similar in age, and they do like each other a very decent amount, so there is potential for that to be a good friendship. But the young lord is needing to get married and start his reign. The problem is, Balon Greyjoy does not like him for his short reign, for being what is perceived to be a foreigner, although he is an Ironborn in appearance and genetically, quote-unquote, as much as that counts for. He also was raised in the Starks similarly to his own son, Theon Greyjoy, and we all know from the his hatred of his own. But he also believes in the old gods, which is a huge problem as he is the only old god believer south of the Neck. Outside of... where are they? Blackwood Vale. They're definitely the only Iron Islanders to believe in the old gods. So as you can see, the Starks had a good reason for wanting them to really take over the Iron Isles. And maybe one day, because as you can see here, no one... where's it better? There's no better view. Okay. So we have the High Lords of the Great Wicks with the Good Brothers. We have Pike, obviously. And then we have the High Lordship of Harlaw. But there is no Seastone Isles. And obviously the... yeah, that isn't a thing. But there's no High Lord of the Seastone Isles. So our Great Lord, Rickard, has ambitions to become the High Lord of the Seastone Isles. But he'll need a great council to help him do that. And he has a potentially good one. He has Sir Doru Yarwick, a Westerman who he aligned with very well, them both being brave, diligent, and just. They have a very good friendship, even though he is a foreigner and they have religious differences and a different culture. They have pretty good opinions because they both have similar personalities. Tristan is a low-born Ironborn, but as they love to mention, you earn your salt, or whatever these old Ironborn believe. Rickard is a revolutionary in the eyes of the Ironborn. Lord Baywan Tawny, though, could be, even though they are not friends at the moment, could be a great ally and potentially the big man on the block. The Tawnies, only 3 living members. Lenwood, who's 56, Balon himself, and then Unella. Rickard could find a dynasty ally in the Tawnies if he keeps Balon alive and can show Balon that he's a good man. Ralph Orkwood is an interesting one because Ralph really is okay with this rebellion purely because he sees him as a good leader. He sees an advantage in this, and him being a very deceitful type could see how this could be beneficial. Even though it brings down his family, it could bring opportunities for him, and he is now the treasurer. Hyacinth sees this as her only opportunity to be able to get a decent stronghold, or foothold, my apologies, being a woman. House Mullen, it's a very small house at the moment. Lord Brandon of Dawnforest is the master of Dawnforest, but it's a very small house with a very cool sigil, by the way. And then you have Maester Humphrey and Priest Ronald. It will be interesting to see what Priest Ronald does. Sorduro Yarwick, as we know, is a military mind, so he will be able to improve defenses in Orkmont. And that is exactly what he does. Tristan is setting to fabricate claims on Blacktide. Lord Balon of Nettlebank, my apologies, is training troops. Ralph Orkwood is collecting taxes. Hyacinth Mullen is scheming. And Maester Humphrey is serving the court. Meanwhile, Priest Ronald will be proselytizing. Our Lord Rickard's first move was to assign a marriage. And he found one in the form of Marna, a clansman. She has a lot of potential and diplomacy. She had a lot of potential in diplomacy, and she was very young. Then Ralph Orkwood needed to find himself a wife, and found a decent one. And Tita Frey. No. In Dory Stout. Hyacinth found a husband in Manfred Goodbrother. And finally, Ronald found a wife in Robin the Courtier. Balon Greyjoy offered him Lord Treasurer. An interesting one, considering his strongest suit is not even stewardship, but alas, Lord Rickard needs to find some common ground with his lord. The big question, though, is who shall Lord Rickard marry? the best, most suitable choice was Chloe Shett. Although it provided no alliances, Lord Rickard, being an upstart, knew that that he had the backing for now, mind you, of the Starks. Although, who knows if they would actually go to war for him, he decided to marry for a woman he thought was very beautiful. He appointed the regent to be his castellan and what he considered the closest thing to a friend, Doru Yarwick. He appointed positions simply to make some friends, and appointed his maester to be the cupbearer. He also appointed Christopher Spar and Linwood the Little to be his commanders. After that, there was a moment of silence. I said silence. There we go. Silence. As well as some great background music. I have decided to institute medium feudal taxes law. All that is needed is the support of yourself and my other vassals. I don't know why I gave him that voice, but that's the voice he gets. Current taxation is small, but Rickard thought to himself that he needed to get the French, or at least the non-hatred of Balon Greyjoy, so he accepted the proposal. Begrudgingly, I should mention. He married young Chloe Shett, the attractive, just, proud, and honorable, very much so a woman that he would say is the closest thing to what he would picture a wife to be. He asked for the money of the teeth, and they gave him the customary amount in 10 gold. The next ambition for the young Lord Rickard was to have a son and confirm the dynasty. Speaking of which, Chloe Shett is now a poor fighter. Well, dang, you're already doing your job, bud. Although Rickard did love Chloe Shett. Okay, I don't care about the council position. I'm in the middle of a story. Although Lady Chloe did not feel the same. I'm satisfied. I don't care about being commander of the old guard of the Ironborn. The king beyond the wall was still an ever-growing concern as Mance was getting ready to make his move. Lord Commander Joe Mormont. Oh. Well, a lot just happened in a few seconds. My lord, Rickard, at age 42, our liege Lord Paramount Balon II, Lord Paramount of the Iron Isles, King of the Salt and Sea, the true and father of the young Greyjoy Lord. Just wanted to double check it was Theon. Theon Greyjoy has died in a hunting accident. In confidence? Of course in confidence, my lord. This is good news. Theon, being a ward of the North, will understand our perspective more. I think this is the best opportunity we can have, as I think Theon will come to know we are a good lord. My wife, Rickard, had to decide. He was thinking, my wife Chloe is a tender and loving soul, trusting everyone in the castle. I fear she will get hurt someday. But then again, those who love get love in return. And that was the start of the uptick in the relationship of Lord Rickard and Lady Chloe Shett. Lord Theon has decided to institute medium feudal taxes, a great way for Lord Rickard and Lord Theon to be friends, potentially. At the moment, he has a borderline neutral perspective. God, that whispering is annoying. I love the ambient sound sometimes, but that one gets annoying. That's the other one I really don't like. Shut up! Gosh, those annoying noises. I'm gonna have to change that in the next part. I'm sorry for breaking quote-unquote character, but that is the most annoying thing about... one of the most annoying things besides... It seems like the other complaint I have doesn't really have to be a problem, but... Lord Rickard receives a letter, reading, Dear Lord Rickard of Orkmont, I hereby invite you to the grand feast in Pike. Your presence at the feast would be greatly appreciated, and I look forward to your attendance. Lord Rickard pondered for a moment, realizing this could be the best opportunity to get on the good side of young Lord Theon, or fellow young Lord Theon. He decided to travel to the feast. But right before he leaves for the feast at Pike, his wife Chloe Shett comes to him, pun intended, possibly, with a smile, as fate would have it, and informs our young Lord Rickard that she is in fact pregnant, therefore confirming the dynasty, at least for now. Lord Rickard was very excited about the news. Lord Rickard arrived in Pike, where Lord Paramount Theon has greeted the Lord warmly to his feast. Bread, salt, and sweet beer. I doubt it, being that it's the Iron Isles, but we shall continue. Then again, it is Theon. Has been served as is the guest right, and the most delicious aromas are coming from the kitchen. Theon bringing a very northern approach to the kingdom. Asha Lady Asha, the Kraken's daughter, is married to Carl the Maid, a formidable fighter who is content, which is good. Lord Rickard saw his mortal enemy, Heron Ironmaker, as soon as he stepped into Lord Paramount Theon's castle. Presence was almost more than he could take or could bear, and he longed to pick up a sword and impale with it. Young Lord Rickard did not want to spoil the feast and disappoint his young lord, Theon. If it was Balon, this would be different, but it was young Lord Theon who has come to expect at least a semi-decency. The pregnancy has caused young Lord Rickard's wife to develop quite the unusual tastes. Most of what she asks for dinner nowadays ranges from, mildly unsettling to positively revolting. Still, scholars do agree that a pregnant woman's cravings should always be accommodated. Lord Rickard accepted the request to give young Lady Chloe Shett a fish's eye. There was men raised in the Krenugs, and the war against Mance Rayder. The war against Mance Rayder had begun. The king beyond the wall had to defeat the Lord Commander, Dorn, the Neck, Lasthearth, and Carhold. Surprisingly not Eddard Stark, even though in the books he said he would come up if the wall was to have to fight the North, or the Beyond the Wall, but we'll ignore that factor. Lord Paramount Theon's feast is over, and it is time to begin the long way home for Lord Rickard. After the food, the entertainment, and the warmth, the real world suddenly feels cold and hostile to young Lord Rickard, who for the first time in many years felt truly at home. He then ponders about a feast next year. Young Lord Rickard comes home to find out that his closest ally, Sir Doru Yarwick, has died of pneumonia. He then appoints young Lenwood the Little, Tawny, who he assigns with improving the defenses, and appoints as regent. And appoints Maester Humphrey as regent. My apologies. The time is coming as we await young Lady Chloe Shett's child. And end Chapter 1 of the story of Lord Rickard Greymont. Victorian Orkwood was bitten by a snake this morning. The brave little fool kept seeking out danger. Lord Rickard, being a brave man himself, encouraged the young lad, knowing that he would have done the exact same thing if he was in that situation, and kind of seeing a little bit of himself in young Victorian Orkwood. The young lad was not involved in such betrayals, so he did not seem fit to punish said young lad. It is good tradition to gossip around a pregnant woman. To have some gossip around a pregnant woman in order to keep her calm and distracted from the tribulations of this delicate time in her life. As Chloe's husband, young Lord Rickard's duty is to provide her with the support she needs, and so had some maids dispatched at a very cheap price. But what is gold in terms of making sure the one you love the most is happy? And finally, this young marriage was looking wonderful, potentially. The young lady Chloe Shed was getting closer and closer to having the very important child. Lord Rickard could not help but overhear the stablemaster and a courtier's animated discussion. Something about a horse and a payment due today, but the courtier insisted on paying the stablemaster later that week. He thought to himself that he should interfere. He settled the matter between Skite Orkwood and his stablemaster. He tried to be as just as he could, but they still would not speak to each other. But Skite appreciated the justice that was being bestowed by young Lord Rickard, who was showing potential of being a great leader. And thus the birth of... Dang it all. Thus the birth of young Wyman the Ugly. Let's end it on that depressing note. Oh my Lanta. Young ugly Wyman Greymont. Why do we have to have an ugly lord? Why? I'm going to talk for a minute. This is a little bit outside of the episode, but this is kind of bonus. If you don't want to hear about all this, you can cut out now. That's fine. Because this isn't part of the semi-storytelling roleplay, semi-game, whatever, shebang. So if you don't want to hear about this stuff, that's fine. You can leave at this point. So, about the whole schedule thing. I'm sorry I haven't done a video in a long time. I've been involved with organizations, personal life stuff, trying to figure out, because if you don't know, I'm 19, so there's a lot of stuff I'm still trying to figure out. And I planned on doing another episode tonight, but that might have to wait till tomorrow, because I spent 3 hours of trying to A, get the setup, B, fix problems. Like, for example, I was going to use the Sensible Family mod, and I have it activated, but it won't let me activate it. I don't know why. Maybe I just missed it, but it wasn't a choice. Usually it's in the personality trait, which I couldn't select. Otherwise, I could have come up with a better story. And that's why you heard me hesitate with Richard. Because the entire family doesn't exist, which is annoying. I wish that model would have worked, but alas. And then I had other problems of noise and so on and so forth. And that's why sometimes I can't do these videos until 11 or 12 at night. And then if I want to do a video, by the time I get it done or have to redo a video, it's 1 in the morning. And I'm trying to have a normal sleep schedule, but it's tough. Anyways, sorry for rambling. If you guys want to hear more about this kind of stuff, do let me know. If you don't, please let me know. I'm just trying to let you guys know why my channel's so sporadic. Because 1 minute I'm uploading 5 episodes a day, the next minute I'm gone for 2 months. And it sucks because my channel is doing pretty well, I'd say, for all things considered. Because I've seen channels that get like 2-3 views per video. I've been blessed, in my opinion, to have some videos get 30 views, some get 10. My biggest problem isn't the likes or dislikes, honestly, even though the algorithm and blah 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 blah. I couldn't care less about the algorithm. What I care about is knowing what you guys want. If you want more of this kind of like personal storytelling thing, or if there's changes you recommend, if there are certain games you prefer me to play, like for example, I never finished pretty much a lot of things outside of Homefront, then do let me know. As long as it doesn't have to do with editing, that is. Because the problem with editing is I don't have the money to have an editing program at the moment. So, when I do, which should be around this fall, because this fall I do some radio. So, hopefully at that point I will be able to... have the money for that programming. And if I do, then that will be a fix that I can do. And hopefully the videos won't be as crappy. Because I want to make better videos. Because I enjoy this. I don't care about the views. Or the likes. Or the dislikes. What I care about is what you guys have to say. Comment as much as you want. Because I really just want to know how you guys feel. But thank you guys who spent 5 minutes about me ranting. You guys are the ones I appreciate the most because you actually care about this channel. And I mean, the people who do watch the videos but don't want to hear about this crap, I appreciate them too, but it's different because the people who watch it, they enjoy me. I assume if they watch a 30-minute video of me or multiple 30-minute videos or so on and so forth. So I appreciate them, but there's a difference between watching the content and enjoying the content versus actually wanting to better a channel. Because there are channels I comment on a lot, I'm not going to lie, and I will give my opinions. Like Mr. Hurricane, who doesn't really need recommendations from someone as small as me when he's at the hundreds of thousands. But there's channels like, for example, the Goat House, who are at 18,000 on their goal to 20,000. They get a lot of stuff from me because, whether they like it or not, I like their opinions on things and sorts of that matter. And although it can get annoying, I assume, because of me doing it so often, for someone like me, on the other hand, I would appreciate that kind of stuff. Just because it lets me know people are interested, people care about the channel, and that people really just want to see the channel grow, whether it be numbers wise or it's content wise or just interaction wise, want to see it grow. Regardless of what it is, thank you guys so much for spending this extra 6-7 minutes with me. I appreciate it more than you can imagine. I don't care about the growth of this channel. I'm happy with what I've done so far. And it's funny because I talk about this channel to people and they find it so funny that I'm so proud of such a small channel, but I'm proud of it because it's the one of the few things that I've been dedicated to for going on, sheesh, a year and a half now. I feel like a year and a half now. So I'm happy about that. I'm proud of that. No, it's been a year. No. It's been about a year, give or take. Regardless, I have brain damage. Sorry about that. But this has been one of the few things I've been super consistent on. There's been a lot of things I've not been consistent on. And if you guys want to know about that more, I can make a video on it. I can let you know in the comments. You can direct message me on my Twitter at NotRealJumblesGaming. Because definitely check out the Twitter. That's all I can say, because if you want interaction, that is the #1 way, because I am on it more than my own personal social media, believe it or not. And by the way, just in case if you don't know it's me or not, which I assume not many people go by Not Real Jumbles Gaming, although Real Jumbles Gaming was taken, so that upset me quite a bit, because someone stole it, which is annoying, but we'll ignore that for now. It's the Nicolas Cage Stannis Baratheon. You'll know it. Anyways, I keep wanting to end it, but I also just enjoy these little moments where I can talk with you guys. But yes, check out the Twitter. Contact me on Twitter if you want to talk about this stuff. I'm always available. Whether it be about the channel, about my life, about you want just someone to talk to, definitely contact me on the Twitter, because I use that, like I mentioned, more than my personal social media. So I am pretty much always going to be checking that Twitter, so definitely do that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Jumbles, you've been amazing, and as always, deuces.